Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hawthorne, the city of good neighbors. Thank you for joining us on our 4th annual Veterans Benefit Day. My name is Kyle Orleman. I'm the chair of the commission. Thank you very much. I'd like to briefly introduce my fellow commission members if I can. They're in the middle of doing things, so I have Jim Robillata over here, Carol Steinhauer, Annabella Moreno, and in the back we have Ken Lesker. So thank you very, very much. We are happy to have you here. We have kind of a packed program, and so we're going to start out immediately with the presentation of the colors, which will be done by Vietnam Veterans of America, South Bay Chapter 53. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Colonel Neil Gaffney, who is our Chair Emeritus of this commission. Thank you very much, and we'll have the flags brought in now, please.
I would ask everyone to place your hand over your heart, and if you're a veteran, you may render the hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may take your seats. As I said, we have a number of important issues that we'll be discussing today, and we have some guests who have joined us that we're delighted to have in our city for the first time. You'll be hearing from them in a few minutes. Please feel free to ask questions, circulate among the booths. We also have service officers that will be available to help work with claims issues. They are in the first 2 rooms over on this side, and Mindful Warrior Project is in the far 2 rooms on the far side, and they will be doing wellness treatment modalities. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker. We have Representative Tulsi Gabbard. She is here from the state of Hawaii, and she is a member of the Hawaii National Guard. She is a major in that. She is serving her 4th term in the U.S. House of Representatives, and she has been a member of the Homeland Security and Foreign Affairs Committees, and is currently serving on the House Armed Services Committee and the Financial Services Committees. Tulsi is a major, as I said, in the Army National Guard. She has deployed twice to the Middle East and is one of the first female combat veterans ever elected to Congress. She has been a strong ally to our veterans and to their families, and she has championed legislation that addresses the unique challenges that veterans and their families and military connected face, and she supports the benefits and the care that our veterans, that all of you have certainly earned and deserve. May I please introduce Tulsi Gabbard.
Aloha. It's great to be here on this beautiful morning. Thank you very much, Kyle, for your kind introduction and your leadership for you and your team and everyone who's here today gathered for this central purpose of honoring and serving and caring for our veterans. I want to say a special thank you to my friend, Supervisor Janice Hahn. We were elected, yes, let's give her a round of applause. We were elected the same year in Congress back in 2012, and I'm so proud and inspired to see the leadership that she is bringing to all of you here, and her passion that continues to taking care of our veterans. Thank you very much to our other elected leaders who are here today. Thank you for your leadership and your service and taking the time to take care of those who have sacrificed so much. I want to take a moment to recognize someone who I did not have the opportunity to meet, but someone who all of you know very well, Elaine Mackey, who recently passed away. It is people like her who have dedicated so much of her time and her energy and her life that we must continue to honor and remember as we push forward in doing this important work. You know, one of the things that I appreciate about having the privilege of serving in Congress is bringing the voice of our veterans to Washington. When I got elected in 2012, we had fewer members of Congress who had served in uniform than ever before in our country's history. And you can see how, unfortunately, too often that is reflected in the policies and the decisions that are being made. We went from having the most veterans serving in Congress when we had many veterans from World War II who were there. Now we're starting to see a resurgence where we have many post 9/11 veterans who are running for Congress, who've gotten elected, members of Congress from both parties. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference, both in the Veterans Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, to have those in our nation's capital who understand the experiences that we share as veterans, who understand what we have gone through, understand the cost of war, and who pays the price. Because too often, what we as veterans hear is a lot of lip service. Lip service from people who are in positions of power to do something, who on Veterans Day will say thank you for your service. But when it comes time to providing the funds necessary to actually take care of our veterans, don't follow through. Don't walk the talk. There is so much that our leaders can learn from our veterans, people who epitomize what it means to put service above self. You know, we have, less than 1% of the population today who's serving in uniform. So there's a lot of people in the country who don't know what that means, who don't understand the impact of what all of our veterans have done at some point in time of your lives to say, I am putting service to my country before myself, willing to sacrifice everything, willing to put my life on the line. And when we look at the challenges that we face in our government too often, we see leaders who don't understand what that means to put service above self. So know that you are an inspiration. Your example of service is an inspiration that our nation's leaders must look to and learn from. Because what it comes down to is that we all must do what we can, do all that we can to put the well-being of our country and our people first. Regardless of what political party you're a part of or how you feel on different issues, we are stronger as a nation when we draw this inspiration from our veterans to focus on that mission of service above self, to put the well-being of our people at the forefront. I think it's unfortunately getting harder because more and more people in this country are not aware of the fact that we still have troops who are deploying. We still have our men and women in uniform who are being put into harm's way. But it's not in the headlines. It's not making the news. This story is not being told about the sacrifices being made by our service members, by our families, and by those who are coming home still with both visible and invisible wounds. Just a few days ago, I was in Hawaii to say goodbye to soldiers from my former unit that I deployed with during my second deployment. Soldiers from the Army National Guard who are going to Afghanistan. And as I went and talked with many of them who I served with, there were a number who were going off on their first deployment, but there were many who were going on their third or fourth or fifth deployment. Soldiers who were ready and willing to salute the flag and get the mission accomplished, but who also shared about the difficulties and the challenges of leaving their spouses behind. A friend of mine talked about his 15-year-old daughter, his oldest, who was asking him, "Dad, who's going to teach me how to drive?" She turns 16, she can get her driver's permit. There are things like that that we don't often think about that have a huge impact on our military families. It was tough to be there to see them off, knowing that I could not go with them. But it is for them that we all are gathered here to do all we can to take care of them when they come home. Now, there are a number of issues that we are working on in Congress that deal with the challenges that women veterans continue to face, with a VA that is largely ill-equipped to deal with the rising numbers of female veterans that we have transitioning out of the service and coming home. Legislation dealing with burn pits, my generation of veterans, Agent Orange. We have millions, potentially, of veterans who've been exposed to toxic burn pits, and many who are dealing with the health repercussions as a result, even those who've passed away. Dealing with the issue of homeless veterans and how that number continues to rise. Tackling the issue of how veteran suicide continues to plague veterans of different generations. That we still have veterans who have survived the rigors of war but end up losing the battle here at home and take their own life is something that we cannot allow to continue. These are just a few among the many different issues that leaders in Washington need to continue to tackle to make sure that our servicemen and women and our veterans are getting the benefits and care that you've earned and deserve. But I want to close on one issue that I just learned about recently that's important to so many of you here. And that speaks to the broader need for us in our country to make sure that even as time goes on, we continue to honor our veterans. I was told by someone a couple of weeks ago when I was here that they wanted to rename the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum as the United Airlines Memorial Coliseum. And that this decision was made for the price of $69 million. How do you put a price? How do you put a price on the service and the sacrifice, the giving of one's life in service to our country? You can't. You cannot put a price on that. So someone asked me earlier, "Tulsi, why are you here talking about this Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum? You're from Hawaii. What does this have to do with you?" This has to do with every single one of us who have served, every single one of us who has worn the uniform, every single one of us who has seen, who have lost brothers and sisters, who never made that trip home. This has everything to do with every single one of us as Americans, whether you have worn the uniform or not. Because it is up to us. It is up to us all to make sure that no matter what generation one has served in, that we always honor the sacrifice of those who gave all. So I will do whatever I can as a veteran, as a member of Congress, in whatever way that I can to help influence and impact this issue, to bring it to the national forefront, because this is something that is much bigger than our community of veterans here in Los Angeles. This has to do with a grateful nation fulfilling its promise to honor those who have served for all of us. Thank you all so much for your leadership and the hard work that you do every single day to do just that, to fulfill that promise, to take care of our brothers and sisters, and know that you have an ally in me, and I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with you in that fight. Thank you so much. Aloha.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Our next speaker is going to be Supervisor Janice Hahn from the 4th District. And I would also like to point out we have some other people in the room that are kind of flying under the radar. We have Senator Steve Bradford here, if you'd like to hold up your hand. We also have some members of our Hawthorne City Council here. We have Olivia Valentine and Alex Montero. And I believe Mike Taeda is in the back of the room somewhere, over there. And I'm sure we'll have our mayor and our council member Haydar Awad coming in a little bit later on. So if I may ask Supervisor Hahn to come up and bless us with her remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you to Kyle and to Neil for helping to put this event on today. Wasn't that exciting to hear Tulsi Gabbard? She's running for President of the United States. And she came here to Hawthorne to talk to us. I also wanted to give a shout out to Tom Lassiter, my commissioner on the Veterans Commission in the County of Los Angeles. Tom, thank you for your service. Wanted to, of course, thank my colleagues that are here. Jeff Wood didn't get announced. Jeff is a council member in Lakewood who wanted to come here. To my colleagues on the Hawthorne City Council, to the great Senator Steve Bradford, from Sacramento, so he can do a lot for us in Sacramento. So thank you for being here. This is great to be here. Now, this is not my supervisorial district. It's Mark Ridley Thomas. But I wanted to be here this morning to talk to veterans who mean so much to me. But some of you might remember my dad, the original Supervisor Hahn, Kenny Hahn. This was his district, and I grew up coming here to this community building, to this civic center so many times. I see a young woman, I think she's 5 years old, and she's with her mom here today. I spent a lot of Saturdays with my dad, coming right here in this community center, so it's great to be back. And I really want to thank the veterans in our community, whether it's Hawthorne or other cities, or Lakewood, or San Pedro, or many of the areas. I want to thank you for your courage that you've demonstrated, your selflessness. Tulsi Gabbard mentioned a lot of those things. I served with Tulsi in Congress. As she said, we were elected at the same time. Now, I think I'm smarter than her because I got out. But she's already left, so we won't tell her that. But I will tell you, I watched her up close and personal. And I will tell you that much of what she did was informed by her experience in the military and as a veteran. And she makes a very good point. We need to elect more people who have served in uniform to the United States Congress. So when they make those laws and when they appropriate dollars, we have people that understand what the needs of our veterans are. Many of you risked your life in defense of this country and in defense of others. Many of you left your families your loved ones, for months, for years at a time, while millions of other Americans stayed comfortably home. Today, many of you carry the scars of battle, some visible, some invisible, but just as painful. Your sacrifices have been great, and I always want to personally thank you for your service, not just on Veterans Day, but every day. Thank you for your service, and welcome home to each and every one of you. And Tulsi's right. This country's support for you cannot, nor should it, end on the battlefield. We're a nation indebted to your service, and no expense should be spared ensuring that you have access to the medical care you need to stay healthy, connections to job training so you can get the jobs you need and deserve, and support from our social services that you need to thrive as a civilian. That's what we believe in Los Angeles County. That is why we're on a mission to support every one of the 500,000 veterans that call this country home, that call this county home, with everything from paid on-the-job training for county jobs to free legal help for veterans to specialized mental health care. Los Angeles County is home to the largest population. Here's the sad statistic. Los Angeles County is home to the largest population of homeless veterans in the country. That's not right. That's a shame. But we have got to all come together, and it is my personal mission to build affordable apartments dedicated to veterans and their families who've been forced to go into homelessness. I have a project right now that I'm building in Downey. It will be 80 units for veterans and their families. Some of them, most of them have been previously homeless. But I want to say something about the city of Hawthorne. I'm so grateful that we have cities like Hawthorne who's dedicated to the well-being of our veterans. The fact that you have a Veterans Commission made up of volunteers here in the city of Hawthorne sets you apart from almost every city that I know, and you are to be congratulated. Let's give it up for the city of Hawthorne. Well, LA County has a couple of booths here, so please avail yourself of the resources we have. Call your real supervisor, Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, if you need help. But I wanted to just touch briefly on what Tulsi Gabbard talked about at the end. And that's this plan to change the name of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to the United Airlines Memorial Coliseum. It's something that has, I think, pricked the consciousness of veterans everywhere. When I discovered that this was happening, I was outraged, I was appalled, and I wanted to do something about it. And now Tulsi Gabbard has raised it to the presidential stage. And so she's giving it life across the country. You know, the Coliseum is not just a sports venue. It's not just another stadium. For people who don't know, it is a war memorial. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum was built by Los Angeles civic leaders, dedicated in 1923, and they built it to memorialize the Angelenos who marched off to war in World War I and never came back. And they wanted to know what they could do that would stand as a permanent memorial tribute dedication to those young men and women from Los Angeles who marched off to war and never came home. This is what they've built. This Memorial Coliseum has been host to 2 Olympics. It's going to have a 3rd one in 2028. John F. Kennedy received his nomination to run for President of the United States in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Billy Graham holds the record for the most attendance for a gospel sermon in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The Pope has been there. Nelson Mandela came to our Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to urge us to try to end apartheid. So replacing Los Angeles with a corporate sponsor is an insult to all veterans everywhere. And in 1968, my dad decided to dedicate it to all veterans everywhere and not just those who are from Los Angeles. It's sacred ground, it's hallowed ground, it should not be for sale. I've suggested a compromise. What about the United Airlines field at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum? Or the United Airlines Stadium at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum? We could give United the visibility, we could let SC make a little money off of it, but it would honor the veterans everywhere in a way that is appropriate and dignified. I still believe that we're going to get a compromise. I still believe that they're going to do the right thing. But if this is a one last fight that you want to get in, if this is a battle you'd like to wage with me, I would appreciate your support. I actually brought some petitions that if you'd like to sign up and we can get them to United and USC saying that the veterans community is in favor of a compromise, I would appreciate it. One last fight I want to fight shoulder to shoulder with you on. So we've got the petitions. There they are. They're also at the LA County booth. I hope you'll sign up. Thank you for your service. I love every single one of you. You're amazing. You're amazing. Love you all.
Supervisor Hahn just talked about an issue that is important for all of us, and that's the homeless veteran issue here in the area. And we have an extra guest today that I am particularly proud to be able to introduce. He happens to be one of my neighbors. He's a resident here of the city of Hawthorne. His name is Brian DeAndrea, and he is a major executive with Century Housing. He and two other entities have joined together to form the West Los Angeles Veterans Collective, and they have been selected out of a nationwide search to be the master developers for the 1,200 plus units of permanent supported housing that is going to be going on to the West Los Angeles VA campus. I would like to introduce my friend, my neighbor, Brian DeAndrea.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Commission for inviting me to speak this morning. Again, my name is Brian DeAndrea. I am Senior Vice President with Century Housing Corporation, and we are one of the three organizations that together formed the West LA Veterans Collective to serve in this principal developer role for the VA on the West LA VA campus. As Supervisor Hahn spoke, next slide, please. In terms of context, we have a homelessness crisis here in LA County. It's something that we all are sensitive to. We see it everywhere we go. That's a crisis that affects our veterans disproportionately. In LA County alone, we have more than 3,900 veterans that experience homelessness on any given night. That's a scourge on our society, and it simply cannot be, and I know we all here today intend to do something about this. The West LA VA campus affords us a really wonderful opportunity to move the needle in terms of addressing that. But those are just numbers. You can flip the slide, please. I want to share a quick story about Hank and Kathy. Hank's a veteran. He moved to this country from the Netherlands. He later enlisted in the Army, served in Vietnam, and was deployed there in combat. He was injured on the front lines and came home wounded. He recovered after an honorable discharge and later became a master upholsterer. He had a wonderful career. He married his sweetheart, Kathy. They've been married for 33 years. They have a child, they have a granddaughter, and they were living their lives. And The economy got the better of them. Hank and Kathy ended up homeless. They remained homeless on the streets for a number of years. But a chance encounter with outreach teams from the fire department and social service organizations captured them, and they got them into housing. And we got them into a shelter, and later they moved into permanent supportive housing. They're now proud residents at one of our communities in Long Beach called the Villages at Cabrillo. And this just puts a face on those numbers. They're wonderful people. They're great ambassadors for the work that we're doing in Long Beach, and we couldn't be prouder to call Hank and Kathy residents of the Villages. Next slide, please. So a bit about the three organizations that make up the collective. Two of us are nonprofit organizations. Century Housing Corporation and US Vets are both nonprofits. US Vets is here today. Hello to the US Vets team. The third member is Thomas Safran Associates. Thomas Safran Associates is a leading developer of affordable housing. They're based in Brentwood, literally just a stone's throw from the VA campus. The nice thing about our three organizations is that it was not a marriage of convenience. It was a partnership that has benefited from many, many years of experience working together. The Century US Vets relationship goes back literally decades. Both of our organizations were founded by Judge Harry Pregerson, himself a World War II veteran. Judge Pregerson is no longer with us, but he continues to inspire both of our organizations to this day. We've been working together for many years, both at the Englewood facility that US Vets operates, but more prominently in Long Beach at the Villages at Cabrillo. And then also Century and Thomas Safran Associates have a long history of work together. Beyond being a developer of affordable housing, Century Housing is a lender, and we have transacted many, many times with Thomas Safran Associates. So the three of us coming together was a very natural marriage, and that's important because development is complicated, and we're going to be at this in West LA for a long time. Next slide, please. At the end of the day, our work begins and ends with our veterans. That is really what inspires us every single day, and we carry with us. When we think about the opportunity at West LA, we are really talking about the successful transition of our military veterans and giving them opportunities for health, for hope, for healing, and a fulfilled and productive life. And so we envision this environment, a thriving community that we will create to foster that and promote that. Before us is an opportunity to uphold the original promise of the land conveyance. The property that was deeded to the VA carried with it a requirement to serve our veterans. And so we intend to work with the VA and all of the partners in our community to uphold that promise. Next slide, please. So I've shared with you a little bit about Century and our history. Beyond being a lender, we're a very active developer. We have a strong and growing portfolio of affordable housing. In our community in Long Beach, we have more than 625 veterans that call the Villages home. So it's always been a focus of ours. Our president and CEO himself is a Vietnam veteran and a Purple Heart. So he continues to inspire us with his service. Next slide, please. Many of you know US Vets. They're here today. They are one of our nation's leading service providers to veterans. They have operations throughout the country, but they started right here in LA at this facility in Englewood and in Long Beach and have really a remarkable track record of serving our veterans. They're led by Steve Peck, himself also a Vietnam veteran, a decorated veteran, and he is a very important team member with our West LA Veterans Collective. And next slide. And I share with you a little bit about Thomas Safran Associates being based in Brentwood. They are neighbors to the VA. They literally, their offices are about a quarter mile away from the West LA VA campus. Our team is also bolstered by a very prominent Santa Monica-based architecture firm called Killefer Flameng Architects, leaders in the adaptive reuse community. They've also built thousands of affordable housing homes. Next slide, please. And then we also are bolstered by a city planning agency, an urban planning agency called City Fabric, a nonprofit design studio based in Long Beach that we've had a very long track record of working with. Next slide, please. So at the end of the day, our three teams are locally rooted. We are deeply accountable to our community. All of us are based right here in LA, and we're excited to work with our local communities to undertake this important transformation of the West LA VA community. You can advance the slide, please. And another keep going. Our three teams have extensive relationship working with all levels of government, including the VA. Next slide, please. We also have very strong balance sheets and a strong financial track record of generating the resources needed to develop affordable housing. Next slide, please. And also extensive master planning experience. And I'm going to share with you one very brief example of that, the Villages at Cabrillo. Some of you have been there, some of you know about it. Next slide, please. It's a 27-acre community in West Long Beach. It was former Navy housing property tied to the Long Beach shipyards. The property itself was conveyed to our organization 2 decades ago for the benefit of the homeless. We've been at it now since 1997 and have transformed the community over the course of 5 distinct phases of development. Today, we're home to more than 1,500 residents, including more than 600 veterans. I think the defining feature of the Villages is this amalgamation of organizations we brought together from the VA to US Vets to Century to affordable childcare to healthcare services, all to serve the unique and diverse needs of our population, whether they're homeless families or veterans that have experienced homelessness. So it's a community of healing, it's a community of hope, and it gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what we intend to do with the West LA campus. You can advance a number of slides here. When we acquired the property, we inherited a group of dilapidated and blighted buildings, and so over time it's been a lot of hard work, but those buildings have come down, they've been replaced with new, vibrant, beautiful housing, and it really is a neighborhood. You can keep advancing. If any of you would like to visit, we'd be happy to show you around. Please see me afterwards and be happy to share with you. It's been a very impactful community. We've worked closely with the City of Long Beach. We've actually moved the needle locally in terms of reducing veteran homelessness by more than 33% over the course of the past 4 years. We've been recognized by the White House for those efforts. Our residents continue to grow their incomes. Our residents are remaining in their housing. Housing stability is a huge piece of what we try to do. Once people are housed, once our veterans are housed, we want to keep them housed. That requires services. It requires a support network. And with partners like US Vets, we've created that community. Next slide, please. So, bringing us to West LA, I know everyone's interested in what the plan is in West LA. We envision a holistic and enriching and uplifting community of hope for our veterans. It's completely veteran-centric. We envision an opportunity to adaptively reuse a number of the older buildings within the campus. We envision a number of new construction opportunities. We will work closely with the VA, with VSOs, with the veterans themselves, to both plan and ultimately develop and create this thriving community that we're interested in pursuing. Next slide, please. These just give you a couple of glimpses of what could be. So since our selection in November, we've really only been at it for 4 months. We started with a process of really thinking about what are the principles by which we are going to plan and ultimately develop the West LA VA. And so we established a number of guiding principles, a couple of which I want to share with you. One is home, this idea of holistically assembling services, amenities, and housing that ultimately anchor our veterans and community. Another is this concept of being outstanding, of building monumentally modest neighborhoods for our veterans that show our commitment and respect to their service. And this other concept is that of restoring and really serving as a responsible steward for this very special and historic property in West LA, and seeing as an opportunity to adapt and reuse that historic built and natural environment and putting it back into productive service to our veterans. Next slide, please. We've also developed a number of urban design strategies to help inform our planning efforts. The West LA VA, for those of you that have visited, know that it can be a disorienting experience and process of visiting. So we intend to create order and establish order through wayfinding, through reorganizing some of the streets. We also hope to build critical mass and really concentrate housing and services in different pockets within the North Campus. And connections. We're going to work hard to foster appropriate connections both within and outside the VA community and avoid it becoming an isolated enclave. It really is part of the fabric of our larger community, and we hope to foster responsible and sensible connections so that our veterans have access to UCLA and to Brentwood and Westwood. Next slide, please. The bricks and mortar are one thing. To some degree, that's the easy part. The hard part is really bringing together the services and creating that therapeutic environment. So we'll work very closely with partners like US Vets and others to design a menu of comprehensive services that meet the needs, the differing needs of our veterans. Veterans of different eras, women veterans, male veterans, really tailoring those services to all of those needs. We'll collaborate with partners like UCLA, the VA, VSOs to create that therapeutic community. And then we also intend to establish a nonprofit organization, a backbone organization that will help hold that whole effort, bring that whole effort together, keep us moving in the same direction, create that cohesion that we're all looking to achieve. Next slide, please. The first building that will move forward is Building 207. This is the old Salvation Army Haven building. This is outside of the current environmental process that we're in. And so our partner, Thomas Safran Associates, will be moving forward with this development. The goal is to break ground in early 2020. The plan is to turn this building into 64 supportive and beautiful homes for senior veterans, with a preference for senior veterans that are experiencing chronic homelessness. So this will be a beautifully designed and repurposed building, and it will be essentially a foothold for our larger efforts. The larger efforts that we're undertaking are really subject to the completion of this environmental process that the VA is going through. So while we've been planning and doing a lot of analyzing and thinking, we're really not able to move forward on anything outside of Building 207 until we complete and conclude this programmatic EIS process. The hope is that by this summer, we will have concluded that process and we'll begin to move forward in earnest. You can advance the slides, please. And one more. And so I'll just conclude by saying that this is a tremendous opportunity. We feel the weight of this responsibility. We feel incredibly honored and privileged to have been selected by the VA to undertake this important effort. But this is a lot. This is more than real estate. This is more than just simply about real estate for us. This is really a personal mission. These are photos here of Steve Peck. As I mentioned earlier, our president and CEO, Ron Griffith himself, is a veteran. And so we really intend to take those personal experiences, take the inspiration of all of your service, and use that to help inform and guide this wonderful redevelopment process. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much again for having me here this morning, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have afterwards.
As you may have noticed, we have several other events that are occurring on this property today. We have a bunny breakfast outside and also a service providers fair that has to do with Earth Day. So our city council members are kind of scattered around trying to cover all the different events, but I would like to ask Council Member Olivia Valentine and Alexander Montreal to come up for a moment.
Thank you, Kyle. Good morning, everybody. So I am so proud of the Veterans Affairs Commission. We founded this commission about 4 years ago because we knew that we wanted to do something special for the veterans of Hawthorne. And this commission has grown to be so much more important than we ever thought that it would be. And important not just to the veterans of Hawthorne, but to the veterans of the region. So I am so grateful to the Veterans Affairs Commission, and I would like to have each of them stand, please, and come forward so that you can see who they are, because these wonderful events that you come to are because of their efforts. So all of the Veterans Affairs Commission, please come forward.
Come on.
let you introduce them, Kyle.
Pardon me?
Go ahead and introduce them.
Okay. Okay. If I may, I would like to introduce Commissioner Ken Lester, Commissioner Jim Robillata, Commissioner Carol Steinhauer, and Commissioner Annabella Moreno. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our previous chairperson and current staff liaison, Colonel Neil Gaffney. Thank you very much.
And of course,
And of course, the president, Kyle Orleman. Thank you, Kyle, and thank all of you. I'm going to be very brief only because you've heard wonderful speakers already, and there's so many things to do today out here. Remember that we're having a Veterans Benefits Fair here, but there's also other things that you can go to outside. We have a Service Providers Fair, we have Bunny Breakfast, we have Earth Day, and is there anything else? Did I miss something? That's it, okay. Well, anyway, this is a big day in the city of Hawthorne, so enjoy your day. And this is I want to introduce my colleague, Council Member Alex Montero.
thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Again, I want to say thank you to all of you, especially I want all the veterans to stand up, please, because I want to give you guys a hand. Because without you, our freedom would be in stake. Because you are the brave, and you've been fighting for us all these different wars. And what a lot of people have said is a shame that we don't take care of our veterans. So again, I want to thank the Hawthorne Veterans Affairs Commission for the outstanding job that they have been doing for these past couple of years. And again, we need to fight that the Coliseum maintain his original name from 1921. So again, I want to thank to all of you, all the service providers that are here, that's going to have a wonderful workshop for you. And feel free to come to our city council meeting and express your concern, your ideas, what can we do for you? Because we must do for our veterans what you have done for this past 100 years in this nation. So thank you again for your service, and thank you for the Veterans Commission for an outstanding job, and God bless.
Okay, we now return to our regularly scheduled programming. Our next speaker is going to be Adam Barnes, who is the LA District Supervisor for Disabled American Veterans, and he is going to do his presentation on the benefits and services that they can provide. Adam, you want to come on up?
Good morning. How's everybody going? So, first of all, as a citizen, not a citizen, but a resident of the city of Hawthorne, I'm glad to see so many people attend to this event. I'm glad we're able to keep this going for a third year in a row. Hopefully we still keep going on. So I understand and I appreciate you spending a Saturday morning with us. So my next 2-hour presentation, no, I'm just kidding. Just a few minutes, I'm gonna cover VA benefits. I'm gonna cover a couple things that DAV does in itself and address some of the new issues that the VA has changed, and then hold all questions to either I'm back at my table, and also I have another representative in the Pluto room that actually could do one-on-one counselings and talk to you about your claims and everything else. Can you hit the slide, please? So what we're going to talk about is who we are, what DAV stands for, and what we do. We're going to talk about disability compensations, a rough draft of it all, non-service connected pension, special benefits for veterans, employment benefits that the VA offers, and also what program that the DAV has when it comes to employment. VA educational benefits, I'll roughly cover that one. Other veteran benefits, state, local veterans, and then also what new programs that the VA has as of the law change in February. Next slide, please. So basically what DAV is, a nonprofit organization to help veterans and their families and their surviving spouses to have a quality life they deserve. We've been established since 1920. Everything we do is free to you, and we're also accredited by Congress to fight for you at VA rights in front of a VA law judge. So anytime you see a DAV representative and they ask you, hey, you have a fine of $1,000 you pay us, that DAV rep won't be there anymore. We're not allowed to ask you for money. We're not doing anything. Everything's free for you. Next slide, please. We also help with transitionings. We have representatives at major bases to help you transition out from service to civilian. So if you have family members, nephews, nieces, cousins, uncles that are looking at transitioning out, as long as you're within 6 months of you leaving, you can see a representative to help you file the claims and process it. Go ahead, next slide. Once again, like I said, we fulfill promises, and we promise not to leave any veterans behind. Next slide, please. Next one. All right, so now we're going to talk about disability compensation. That means an injury that's suffered in service or result to an injury in service. You have direct, secondary, aggravation by service. So direct is something that happens in service. Either working out, PT, physical training, even when you're on leave or on liberty at home on the weekend, you get in a car accident. As long as it wasn't willful misconduct, you can claim it as a service connection because it happened while you're on active duty. Aggravation is an injury you happened before service. Say you played high school football, you got injured in high school. The medical at MEP said, yes, you're blessed, join the service. That injury comes back. Within natural progression, it's aggravated the service. And in secondary, your right knee has caused your left knee to injure. Generally, the benefits go from 0 to 100. You see 0 to 100, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so on. But there is a rating table that calculates 1, 0 to 11 or 9, and what they do is they rationale it. Anything below 5 will go down to the lower rating. Anything above 5 will go up will go up to the next rating. Generally, it's protected at 20 years. There's a 10 and 20 law. 10 years after you get service connection. After that 10 years, that disability will not go away. It's recognized. But up to 20 years, say you have a 20% for your back, and you feel it's worse, and you're going to file it. If you don't have the medical evidence to support it, and that exam says, hey, that veteran took the magic drug, his disability has gotten better, you can be proposed to reduce in there. After 20, you can file for the kitchen sink. It doesn't matter. Everything's protected. All right, go ahead and switch. Next one. All right, so there's some for presumptive, special cases. You got herbicides, Agent Orange. I hit blue water there. Congress is changing now. They're starting to recognize the blue water ships off the coastal Vietnam, 12 nautical miles. So they're recognizing it. VA can't do anything until actually May 1st, until it goes through. And as of right now, what we just briefed is that it's at the Board of Veterans Appeals. After May 1st, they can look at those appeals. At the regional offices, at the local levels, they're still on standby for further development and the Federal Registry to tell them what they can and can't do. Former prisoner of wars, there's a whole section for them of what qualifies, what's presumptives, and what benefits they have. Radiation exposure, depending on the radiation exposure where you were. It doesn't mean you're an x-ray technician at the base hospital and you did x-rays 30 times a day, I have radiation. No. It's a certain things you were exposed to. Mustard gas, you did not use mustard gas in the gas chambers in basic training. So you cannot come and say, hey, I was exposed to mustard gas in basic training in the boot camp at the gas mask. No, that was not mustard gas. Chronic tropical diseases, Gulf War injuries, and Camp Lejeune. Camp Lejeune covers also small stipulations of El Toro is looked at, and what it is did the chemicals on the base cause the conditions? When the first law came out, it was just the water system on a certain base housing. If you've ever been at Camp Lejeune, base housing is separate from the main base. It goes in different well systems. And then further development, they said, hey, everyone on the base, their certain pond was exposed to the water. Next slide, please. Next one. All right, special adaptive housing. You got automobile grant. So what it is a one-time, or you ask to get extension in your car. You get a one-time car buyer. Say you're in a wheelchair, you're confined where you need to get your car modified for a wheel access or modified so you could drive everything with your hands because you have an amputation of legs. It's a one-time car buyer. Also, you could go on and add on and say, okay, now my van needs to be updated with the ramp, or my van needs to be updated on that. You can file for those benefits. Special adaptive for housing is if you need to get modified. Okay, I need a lower kitchen sink, or I am now confined into a wheelchair. I need to have my door widened or have a ramp. Those are modifications to your home. Also, say you have a 2-story home and you want one of those ramp elevators where you sit in a chair and you just go up the rail, you can get modifications for that also. Clothing allowance, depending on the disability. If you need a brace or you're having ointments for your back that causes stains on your clothes, you can file for a compensation of clothing allowance. Go ahead, sir. Next slide. Next one. Next one. Okay. Non-service connected pension. That means the disabilities cannot be recognized as awarded to service. You have to be 65 years old, 90 days of consecutive service, 1 day during a wartime period. And they also look at your income and everything else to see if you qualify for pension. If you're collecting Social Security, they'll offset it to see if you meet the criteria or not. Next. All right, so this is a VA Veterans Employment Program. You have U.S. vets, which are here today. A buddy of mine I served with, is here to represent U.S. vets. You have uniform employment and reemployment rights. They help you with job placements, training, get you back in the workforce and get a job. Next slide, please. DAV, we do something. We have contracts. We don't hire ourselves, but we have a contract with Military Source, and what it is job fairs. So if you went on that jobsdav.org, there's a whole site that'll tell you all the job fairs that are going on, face-to-face or virtual in your community. You could either drop your resume into that portal for jobs to pull it, or if you go to the right, there's 2 boxes. It'll say, I want to be an engineer in Texas. You hit submit, it'll give you all the listing of the jobs that are hiring veterans in that job fair, in that issue, and everything else. You could either drop it there to the company itself, or have it just sit in our portal to readjust it and evaluate it and stuff like that. Next one, please. Montgomery GI Bill. You got Chapter 30. These are all education benefits. Select Reserve, Chapter 1606. You got GI Bill Chapter 33, entitlements to transfers of disability. So if you as a veteran don't want to use your GI Bill, you can transfer it for your dependents and for them to take care of it and use it. Voc Rehab, Chapter 31, helps you get in it. It's vocational rehab and employment. It is not purpose to get you a master's degree. It's not a purpose to get you a doctorate. It's to get you into a placement and educated enough to get the job that you want on that contract you signed with Voc Rehab. There's a lot of misunderstandings. Well, Voc Rehab won't pay for my master's degree. Well, the contract said the job you want doesn't need a master's degree. Or you don't need that $1,000 camera that you're going for LA schools of film. They go by the criteria and what is on the student tech checklist of what's required for that class. Next slide, please. There you go. You got VA home loan guarantee. Buy a home, manufactured home, and a condemn. Buy a lot to manufacture the homes. The stipulation with that is if you're a veteran, you buy a home on it, you use it and everything else, and something happens where you get divorced or the wife does a restraining order and you want to get a divorce. Once that veteran is out of that home is not qualified for the loan program. So that spouse or whoever else has to refinance in a civilian matter with another organization. Guaranteed certificates are being on top of it. They'll say, so you'll go to VA or you go on e-benefits, you have it, you type up your time in service, you get a certificate, what you're eligible for, and you go to any major organization, Wells Fargo, any banks that does VA loans, and you give them the paperwork to see what loans you qualify for. Next slide, please. Next one. Home adaptive, like I said, you need a ramp, sink needs to be lowered, the doors need to be widened. You file the paperwork. You file through the VA Medical Center, and the doctor has to say, these disabilities need to be modified, rechanged, you submit it, and everything else. Next. Next slide. State benefits. License plates, hunting, fishing. So it depends on the criteria, what percentage you are. Either you get discounts or you could get free licenses a year for fishing, federal parks, state parks. It all depends on the disability ratings. You could either go online and see those. You could go on DAV.org, or if you're in the LA area and you want to come to the federal building, we have a whole hard print of what disabilities, what percentages, and what benefits you rate in VA care, VA benefits, compensation, and outside the VA. Property tax exempt, I just had a couple questions on that. You have to be 100% permanent total to rate a tax exempt, and once you get the paperwork from the VA showing that you're a tax exempt on 100% permanent total, you contact who you're paying taxes with on that mortgage, and then they'll say, okay, it's a year, it's all them. That depends on what they do. Go ahead. Next slide. All right, so here's new programs. As of February 19th of this year, the appeal changed to Appeals Modernization Act. So what they're doing is they're trying to streamline the backlog of VA VA appeals at the BVA level. Instead of waiting 13,000 days or 5 years, 6 years to get your claim, they created a different program. The law actually changed where it benefits the claims now. The way you file reconsiderations, the way you want a direct higher level review, those laws have changed. So what the Appeals Act came in February, Public Law 115-55, which created new claims, new notice of disagreements, and new SOCs. Next slide, please. So the way it's changed a little bit. So you get a decision after February 19th of this year. You have to either do this way. You have one claim for a supplemental claim, saying, hey, I'm going to submit evidence. You have to submit evidence within 30 days of you filing that claim. It's a VA Form 20-0995. So you submit the evidence. What the law has changed on this one, you had a year to do a reconsideration on any decisions. With this form, there's no cutoff. Say, for an example, in 2002, you filed for your back, got denied. 2015, you filed for your knee, got denied. Headaches in 2000. This new form will allow you to file all those 3 issues with all those different dates, and you submit that as the claim. That one's supposed to be 125 days from the time you file to a decision. I can't tell you if it is or is not. We haven't seen enough turnarounds from there to see if they're going to meet it or not. So those are how that works. Next slide, please. This is direct review. So this is a VA 20-0996. This one still has to be 1 year from the decision. So say, for an example, you came in and said, I was denied for my headaches yesterday, but there is a medical opinion from a doctor in there, but wasn't used as evidence. We file this direct review. We tell the VA to either contact you as a veteran or us as your service organization, and they contact the rater and say, what is your argument? You missed a medical opinion dated on this and this that was not used. Due to regulation, you need to relook at that. That is a direct higher level review. They argue the evidence in file. You cannot bring anything else. Once again, that's in 125 days. So here's where it changed the law. Say you come into my office or any service officer or anywhere else, or you go to VA. I want to file a new claim for headaches, and I want to refile my back because I got new evidence. The same claim form, the 526, will be on that new issue. Anything that you're reconsidering will have to be on the 0995, saying this is what I'm reconsidering, this is what I'm not. Same thing as the higher level review. You could do all 3 if you want. I got evidence for a headache, 996. I want to submit new evidence for my back, 0995. And I got a new claim for increase, that's the 526. So you can now do all those claims at once. That was the change in February. Go ahead, change it. Now, another change in the system. If you want to file an appeal and you don't want to stay at a local level, maybe it was denied due to policy or something at the local level, you can go straight to the Board of Veterans Appeals now. You file this form, 10-182. There is no dash. If you do a dash, you're going to get some hospital record. It's 10-0182. You file that. That replaces the notice of disagreement. And on that slide, you'll pick, I don't want a hearing, just review the evidence there. I don't want a hearing, but I got 90 days to submit evidence. Or I want a hearing and I got 90 days to submit evidence. So those are going to be your 3 choices to go straight to the board. This one is supposed to be 365 days. Like I said, we haven't seen any turnarounds. So any decision after February 19, 2019, we have to go on these processes. If you get a decision before this date, you have an option to do the regular 0958, have it argued as a legacy claim here at the local level, and then you move on from there. If you get a statement of the case, you have the option to go any road. You can do the Form 9 to stay legacy, or you could go straight to the board and transfer over to the new one. If you have a current appeal, you cannot transfer. I know at one time there was a ramp program where you could transfer over. You can't transfer to the new AMA. You can only use AMA if you got a decision letter or a statement of case. That's the only way you can transfer it over. If your case is remanded, you have to write it out and wait for them to finish. Next slide, please. So here's how the layout is, simplified. You have a choice, supplemental lane, 125 days, you add evidence within 30 of those days. All right, you go through. Decision, higher level review, 125 days. You cannot submit evidence. You just have to say, hey, there's something in my record that's the smoking gun that will give you my service connection. And then, of course, you have the appeal program, the rights you have, and then a 365-day turnaround. Next slide, please. Once again, I kind of lie when it's 2 hours. I had a 20-minute window. If you have any other questions, there's our website, naturally. It tells you everything that DAV does besides just benefits. We have a Facebook, YouTube. If you're on Facebook for our national organization, you see everything that we're doing. The presenting of new laws, the new changes. Our new focus is getting VA compensation a yearly increase, a cost of living adjustment. They want that guaranteed, so they're fighting that in Congress. It just popped up. So there's ways to follow us as an organization and see just not benefits. Once again, as a Hawthorne resident, I'd like to thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us. I know it's rough to get up. It's a beautiful day. So thank you. I'm here till 1, and I got a representative to do one-on-one counseling here till 1 too. Thank you very much.
And our speakers today will be Emmett O'Mara, who is the director of the LA VA Regional Office, and Donald Snyder from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Come on up, sit down, get some good information. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. What I thought I'd do today, Kyle asked me to give a real rousing speech designed to get everybody excited and interested. So I thought I'd start by giving everybody a nice, long history lesson. I'll do it in my version, though. It's gonna be Donald and I, I'll call us amateur historians, but it's gonna be a little bit heavy on the VA side. So at one point, when a soldier or a sailor was discharged from active duty, basically nothing was done for them, very little. And then at one point, the soldiers' homes came along. That was a step in the right direction. And then World War II hit, and clearly the need for something better arose. And that was, I guess, manifested in the GI Bill. Quick, another history lesson. Guess what is 75 years old this year? The GI Bill. Anybody here have any experience with the GI Bill? Okay. So the two main components of the GI Bill are the home loan and the education benefit. So a lot of folks did get to use VA benefits. And 75 years ago is when I think VA really took off. It took off, however, much improvement was still needed because we are an evolving organization. And along the years, slow but sure improvement was achieved. Then Vietnam hit. And I don't need to tell anybody how traumatic that was for many people and how rough a period it was for our entire country. And the way our Vietnam veterans returned home was terrible, to a very, very poor welcome. And unfortunately, some of you here today had to experience that. First of all, I want to say welcome home to all of our Vietnam veterans. And I think following that return, the voice of the veteran, although maybe not many ears listening to the voice of the veteran was slowly but surely heard. And the Agent Orange presumptive disabilities became reality for many veterans. So millions of veterans have since then been able to take advantage of those benefits. More was still needed though. Along comes the Gulf War. And that brought its own Agent Orange presumptives. And then, this is more of a minor footnote in history, but I enlisted in the Navy. Shortly thereafter, Donald enlisted. And at that time, we each had hair. So much has changed with VA, and much has changed with the people in VA. But the people in VA, I want you to know, are very, very dedicated to helping all veterans. We have a staff here today who are dedicated to doing just that. We have some over here at the table, and then I guess the room around the bend, we have some as well. But we haven't stopped. We're continuing to evolve. We're continuing to improve. For me anyway, and I'm going to turn it over to Donald here shortly to give some of the more recent upgrades, but one of the most, I think, novel and truly rewarding accomplishments has been a program in which we at VA have partnered with the Department of Defense, and we actually train soon to be discharged soldiers and Marines to come work for us at VBA. To date, and the program is about 4 years old, I think, to date, over 1,000 folks have literally gone from wearing the uniform yesterday to coming to work for VBA today. So we're very, very proud of that and very happy with the direction that's taking us. In other words, it's truly a seamless transition for a serviceman to go from active duty to the civilian world, at least when they go through that program. Donald, I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about some of the more technological things, such as e-benefits and that type of thing.
All right. Hello. How many of you have used e-benefits? Right, so e-benefits is a portal online where you can go in and make an account, and you can submit your claim through it. You can get letters for education. You can print your award letter on there. And also, if you go through the portal, you can also get your My Healthy Vet, which will help you with the healthcare side. If you do have an open claim in e-benefits, you can directly upload any evidence or documents you have directly to your file. So that's a lot quicker than bringing it in to us or faxing in. You can upload it directly to your own file. What about the about people coming in? How many have been to the regional office up on Wilshire Boulevard? A few? I would like to invite you, if you do have any claims, to come there. I'm the supervisor for the second floor with the public contact area. We're really focused on customer service there and trying to do our best to give veterans the benefits that they've earned in a manner that honors their service. I got a team there that's willing to help you. We can help you with your claims, your appeals, education, pension, home loan guarantee. We can help you with the eligibility forms. So we're there to help you. So I want to invite you to come down and see us.
So anyway, we're not here to dazzle you with numbers or figures or anything like that, but I do want to share some with you to give you an idea of really how far we've come here in recent years. What does the term, or the number rather, 1.6 billion mean to anybody? Any idea what that might capture, what it might mean? Yes, sir. The deficit? I think we'd be very happy if that was our deficit as a nation. No, it's actually the amount of compensation that's been paid in the LA area during the last fiscal year. 1.6 billion, that's with a B, not an M. So that's a huge amount of money. On a national stage, over $85 billion was paid in compensation by VA last year. Quick comparison, 5 years ago, it was $53 billion. So over $30 billion increase in about 5 years. Why has that increase happened? Well, I think it's happened for a lot of reasons. I think because of a lot of people who care about serving veterans, but also a lot of partnerships, a lot of collaborations that have formed to get the word out about VA benefits. One of the things that frustrates Donald and I and our entire team is that sometimes people don't hear about what we have to offer, or in some cases, a veteran doesn't want to file a claim or take a benefit because they think it's going to take something away from another veteran. Not the case. If any veteran is entitled to something, then every veteran will get whatever that is. Our nation will pay that cost. It's just that simple. But from my perspective, one of the things that has been very rewarding and very just encouraging has been how I think caring for our veterans has gone from something beyond VA to more of a national and certainly community approach. We in VA believe we're the leaders and we take that responsibility very, very seriously. However, VA can't do everything. And all of the things that you see being done here today and well beyond these walls are done by many, many folks across communities, in communities across the country. And it's that national and community approach that I think has helped raise the level of concern and I would say commitment to serving our veterans. President Washington put it very eloquently, and I'm going to try to capture what he said, but essentially, a nation is as strong as to the degree at which it takes care of its veterans. Donald, you might have a better capture of that quote than me, but the point is if we don't take care of our veterans today, we will have no future veterans and we will have no future free country. So it's a very, very big responsibility that we take, and I think our country has grown to really understand that as well, and it's very encouraging. I just want to thank everybody, and we enjoy being here. Look forward to meeting some of you personally, and thank you very much, and have a great day.
Okay, actually, we're going to just go right ahead. So this is Tom Ruck. He is the director of the LA National Cemetery, and he'll have a lot of information about what's going on up there. Some of this will very much affect us as we are going to have the ability to have our veterans interred up there now, which we have not had since the early 80s. So he's got some good news.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. It's sort of strange to talk about a cemetery at such a wonderful event like this, but I think it's important that we all understand the benefit that you deserve. We're talking about the Los Angeles National Cemetery, and in this case, any national cemetery. We have 134 around the country. Let's talk about the very beginning. How are you eligible to be laid to rest at a national cemetery? And to be laid to rest, you and or your spouse are both eligible to be laid to rest at a national cemetery. Basically, if you were honorably discharged and no major crimes like bank robbery or anything like that, you qualify. You're eligible. But we don't do anything in ahead of time until your time of need comes. So when you probably got out of the Army or the Navy in your mid-20s or early 30s, and now it's 60 or 70 or 80 years old, you probably forgot all that information. So we're here for you. We make it a one-stop shop. Mary's in the back room, or the back over there talking about the cemetery, and we make it easy for you, and that's what it's all about. One-stop shop. No sign-up sheets, nothing else, but you're eligible. Now let's move forward a little bit. What are your options? Many of you know that the LA National Cemetery is here on Wilshire and Sepulveda, right across from the VA campus. But you probably heard that the LA National Cemetery was full. We aren't taking any new burials, and that is correct. We have been full since 1978. And gee, what opened up in 1979? Riverside National Cemetery. Riverside was built to accommodate the needs of the largest veteran county in America. As you know, LA is the most populated veteran county in America, and we need to have burial options for you. Right now, we have Bakersfield to the north, Riverside way out to the east, Miramar a little further south. And then Fort Rosecrans and LA National Cemetery are currently closed. Miramar is built to handle Fort Rosecrans, Riverside was built to accommodate us. But the good news is, at the end of this year, October, November, September maybe, we will have burials available at Los Angeles National Cemetery. Now they're going to be for cremation only, but we have made a commitment to the veterans of LA County to have burial spaces, 90,000 in total, to accommodate about 45 or 50 years of burial. So your loved ones are not going to have to go to Riverside to come visit you. You can be buried here in LA, up near the campus, and that columbarium is being built next to the Jackie Robinson Stadium, if you're familiar with that, over at the VA campus, all the way to the 405, Constitution on the south side, and the homes to the north side. So we're very, very happy about that. So yes, LA National Cemetery will start laying our veterans to rest again at a closer place. And quite honestly, it's about time. We've been doing this for a long time, and it's really good. Cremation only, yes, sir. If you're a casket, you still have to go out to Riverside or Bakersfield or down to Miramar, okay? Sorry about that. It's just, as we know, the land. I'm landlocked. I have Wilshire on the south, I have the 405 on the west, I have Veteran Boulevard and UCLA on the east, and I have homeowners to the north. I have no more space for anything. The other good news, though, is that you may know that we have a chapel on the campus of the VA cemetery. And that chapel was named after Bob Hope, a man who thoroughly believed in our veterans, their mission, and was committed to them. And as you know, he is the only citizen who was ever named a veteran by the U.S. Congress. That chapel is named after him. It has been closed for many, many years for services, but we held our first service again there last Tuesday. So it's open again, it's beautiful, and it's truly a dignified, respectful chapel to hold your committal service. So that's open again. And again, as you schedule your services to be laid to rest, you can choose to have your service at the chapel if you so choose. It's just that simple. Yes, sir.
How do you feel about tonight? I had a friend that passed away, but they weren't able to get a flag. So how do you feel about getting a
flag? Flags are we say it's very easy, but I've heard that it's not, okay? And again, I'll talk to you in the back, but here's the issue. If you take your burial or your death certificate to a post office, they are supposed to have flags available for all veterans, okay? Do I know if they do or not? I've heard that many do not, but that is the process. And if you need to, you can see Mary in the back or myself at our table. We'll take your name and address, and we'll make sure that person can get them or pass along that information. In fact, we'll take all questions back in the back for that. One of the last things I want to talk to you, though, is about Vietnam. How many Vietnam veterans do we have here in the audience still here? Great. First of all, thank you for your service. Secondly, how many of you have the Vietnam commemorative pin that Congress authorized a few years ago? For those of you who don't, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Congress authorized a Vietnam veteran pin to commemorate your service to America during the period of 1955 to 1975. It's their way of finally saying, welcome home, thank you for your service. No, the pin itself isn't elaborate, but it signifies a time in America that we're finally proud of. We want to say thank you, we want to say welcome home. And for those of you who do not have your pin, please come back to the table. Mary, raise your hand back there. She's at the last table right here. She has pins available for you. We have presidential proclamations, both signed by President Barack Obama and President Donald Trump. All those are there for you, but we'd like to shake your hand and say thank you for your service and finally welcome home. So please feel free to come back to our table, pick those up anytime that we're here today. Thank you very much, and Kyle, thank you for everything, and anything else you need, come back and see us. Mary, you know I'm sort of new, but we're here to service you, and again, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Okay, we have a minor housekeeping issue. There is someone who has a CX5 parked in the back over here. The license plate number is 8HFV448. You're parked right out here in the back side. You're parking in a space that is for a city truck. We need you to please go out and move it as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Again, that's a CX5, I believe it's dark gray, 8HFV448. If you can please move your vehicle. Okay, our next speaker is also in addition to our lineup today. We are going to have Colonel Tom Lasser come up, and he is one of the representatives on the Board of Supervisors Veterans Affairs Commission. He's also a Vietnam veteran. He is here in the South Bay. He knows everybody and has been a tremendous friend to all of us. Colonel Tom Lasser.
Good morning. My name is Tom Lasser. I'm a retired soldier, Vietnam veteran with Oak Leaf Cluster, Army helicopter pilot by trade. And I'm also a commissioner with the Los Angeles County Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. How many people here knew there was a Los Angeles County Department of Military and Veterans Affairs? Yay, Stephanie, yay. Each supervisor appoints 2 commissioners per district, so there's a total of 10 of us. We meet once a month at Patriotic Hall in downtown Los Angeles. And in the past year, we have started doing off-site visits. Last week, we were in Lancaster. But next month, the LA Commission meeting is going to be right here in Hawthorne. You'll hear about it from the Hawthorne Veterans Commission and the city and some other notices. But if you have any questions, you want to give testimony, you're welcome to join us at the LA Veterans Advisory Commission and talk a little bit about some issues that you're concerned about that we might be able to track down and help on. That'll be on the 8th of May at 1:30 right here at the Memorial Center in Hawthorne, and it's a pretty good deal. And before I get off the stage, a couple things. In-N-Out Burger is going to be here at noon, so get your wristband. I'm not going anyplace till 12 o'clock. I will stop talking, but 12 o'clock is mess call. Secondly, I want to give a shout out to the Hawthorne Veterans Commission. It's one of the only few city commissions, and they're doing a spectacular job by doing what they did today. And if you want to learn anything about Vetflix and veterans movies, go see Joshua and Mark over at the Vetflix table. Thank you.
Okay, the good news is that the In-N-Out truck will be here, but not quite they'll be here at noon. Lunch is at 1 o'clock. We're running a little bit early, and that's a really good thing because we have asked Marcus Bovey to come up and do a presentation about Vetflix, and he has something absolutely amazing to show you. Marcus Bovey, Vetflix.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. My name is Marcus Bovey, and we started a platform called Vetflix a couple of years ago as a response to the misunderstandings and misrepresentations about our veteran community. I served peacetime 1987 to 1992, go Army. Thank you, party of one, I appreciate that. I've worked in the entertainment industry my entire life. And to be able to bring my entertainment family and my veteran family together was very powerful and important to me. So we service about a dozen titles, and our pipeline is strictly theatrical. We feel that the most powerful moments happen in the sanctuary of cinema, where we come together as strangers and we leave as family. Our movies are powerful, they're important, and we think that you're going to really love what we're working on, because we're now working with a production company on a film called To Live Again. To Live Again is a narrative story about two brothers. They're fictitious characters, but they could be real characters. They could be your neighbors. They come from a family of Italian immigrants who own a market, a family business in Texas. The older brother, joins the Marine Corps and goes off to the Afghanistan situation and comes back different. And his brother is a dancer who wants to go to New York City and dance. The film kind of comes back with the brother disabled and a wheelchair user. And his brother is falling in love with a dancer in New York who teaches him the very mysterious art form of ballroom wheelchair dancing. So Brian Fortuna, the director, the producer of this film, who wishes he could be here today, but he is traveling, actually teaching what you're about to see. So we put together a little overview of what wheelchair ballroom dancing is like. And if you could, I think if we advance to the next slide, it'll be a nice video to play, and I'll shut up and let the video do all the talking. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Woo! Thank you.
And there's no volume. Anyone who is at Bob Hope Patriotic Hall knows how we handled this before. Please stand by. We are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
It looks great, Mark.
What's that?
It looks great.
It looks great. Yeah, it looks fantastic. But movies have sound these days. They've been talking since 1927. Who here likes the sound in the movies? All right, okay. We're working on it. Rome wasn't built in a day, people. So who came from the furthest away? Who came from Fresno? Anyone from Fresno? Olympia, Washington. Anybody Olympia, Washington? Bakersfield. Is Bakersfield here today? Thank you, Bakersfield. Nice. Okay, how about Palmdale, Lancaster?
How about Hawthorne?
Hawthorne! Woo! Here we go. So our story will kind of include wheelchair ballroom dancing, but it's a veteran story. It's written by veterans, will be directed by veterans, and we hope we'll have the veteran community support. And because we're a distribution platform, we have a number of exciting and new innovative things we plan to do. So, Kyle, am I your last speaker for this group? All right, I'll keep talking. I was telling Tom Lasser just a few minutes ago that I really love coming to these events because it's like a family reunion. Where's the Army people? Army, go Army? Okay, good. How about the Navy? Ooh, okay, good. Marines? A few, they're here, yes, woo! And the Air Force. Yeah, what about the Coasties? We have Coasties here? They're busy, okay, all right, well. On behalf of Vetflix, our team leadership, Sherry Hamrick, our friends at Mechanical Dragons, Joshua Lang. Joshua Lang has some amazing documentaries that will be in theaters this summer from Vetflix. And if you go to our website, Vetflix, VETFLICKS.com, you're welcome to drop us an email, let us know the kinds of movies you'd like to see that champion our stories and our culture. And I think Kyle's giving me the thumbs up, so it has been a pleasure to be here today and to meet you all. And please come by, we have like 2 pieces of candy left. Thank you very much. Peace out, thanks.
Everybody's being so efficient, we're significantly ahead of schedule, so we're going to go on ahead instead of having you wait around. I would like to introduce Jim Zenner. He is here with the LA County Department of Mental Health, and he has some very exciting new programs coming up. Give it up for Jim Zenner.
Thanks, Kyle, and thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here in front of everybody today talking about what's going on with LA County. A little bit up front, it's hard to navigate most resources, but mental health is particularly difficult in Los Angeles. If you go to us at DMH, we try to fit you in this cup. Do you qualify for Medi-Cal? Where's your income at? All this kind of stuff. It's quite difficult. If you go to the VA, there's another kind of set, process that you have to go through. It's very difficult to get individual therapy. There's all these gaps and all these trying to fit veterans and their family members into this mold in order to be able to serve. And so really excited to talk to everybody about the Veteran Peer Access Network. It's coming out of a board motion that was passed by the LA Board of Supervisors unanimously in May of 2018 to create a Veteran Peer Access Network and provide more permanent supportive housing units. So out of the $20 million that they dedicated, $15 million went to permanent supportive housing resources. So right now there's a NOFA, a Notice of Funding Availability, that's gone out to developers to create $15 million worth of permanent supportive housing for veterans and their families. The other $5 million is going to be used to create the Veteran Peer Access Network, get it off the ground. That's enough to just get us going, and we're committed as a county, and particularly a department, to continue that funding ongoing. So the Peer Access Network is really, the basis is one of the most discouraging times in my career was when I was working in nonprofit, and I sat in this room. The VA had just let the LA community know that they're putting $30 million into a program called SSVF. That's great news, but as a veteran that stayed in my car and stayed in hotels for a good couple weeks and dealt with my own transition, being in that room and seeing people fight over money versus fight over different ways to help veterans, it was extremely discouraging. And so the premise of the Veteran Peer Access Network is us as vets, our loyalty isn't with our nonprofit, isn't with the county, isn't with the VA, it's to each other. And so we're gonna have peers in the county that aren't asking questions like, where's your income? Like, let me see if I can help you. No, we're gonna help you. Also, we're going to contract out to the community and different agencies to stand up peer access teams. And it's going to be the same thing. They're not going to be asking questions about, can I fit you into this cup that we need you to fit in order to get funding. And then with the VA, we've been talking to the VA quite a bit And we're going through internal planning processes like logic models. What is it going to look like? Because it's a new concept to the VA as well. But the director has been very supportive from day one of the Veteran Peer Access Network. So we're going to identify veterans in the VA working as peer support, patient advocates, to receive veterans and their veterans from the community. So if we run into a veteran at a community college, per se, or at an event like this, and they're best served by the VA and they tell us they're eligible for the VA, we'll be able to hand off veteran to veteran within that system. Same thing with the VA. If somebody goes there and isn't eligible for VA services, those veterans within the VA system that are part of the Peer Access Network will know exactly where to send them out in the community, so that we're not giving veterans the runaround, or you're not sitting in an office while the social worker is trying to figure out how to get you access to care outside of that network. So that's something, everybody always asks timelines, and the community's like, believe it when I see it. Trust me, I'm a vet too, I understand that. The best timeline we got right now is end of 2019, early 2020, we're gonna start putting veterans on the ground to help veterans and their family members. And the eligibility criteria is very simple. If you served in the military for 1 day, you're eligible. Whoever you tell us your family members are, they're eligible. So the Veteran Peer Access Network is probably the most exciting, and probably why I led off with that program. The next program is Veteran Community College Outreach and Case Management Service. So coming back from getting out of the service, many of us go straight to community college because we have the GI Bill. And I don't know, I luckily joined the military when I was 27, got out when I was 31. I had kind of a plan, but I watch a lot of buddies that I served with really I just want to sign this piece of paper, I want to get checked out of CIF, and I want out of here, and there's not really a plan. Many of us end up in the community college system, thinking that we got to do what we did in the military in the civilian world. And a lot of vets are eating up a lot of their GI Bill and not getting degrees. So over the next 3 years, we're going to be contracting out to the community to provide peer services as well as clinical staff to help men and women go into school, get access to mental health, access to whatever they need in coordination with working with the Veteran Resource Centers. And then the last program, the Valor program, if you didn't know about the Valor program, we do FSP type work. It's basically if somebody is struggling with a very chronic mental illness, we can help them provide services that go out to them versus them having to come to a clinic. And so I'm not quite sure where we're going to land with the Valor team moving forward, if we're going to expand, how we're going to tie the Valor into the Veteran Peer Access Network and the Community College Project. But really, county is really growing this program for veterans, and it's really based on the enthusiasm from the Board of Supervisors. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but they voted for this unanimously, including those that live in Janice Hahn's district. She voted for this as well. So there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of excitement around the Board of Supervisors for county to step up their game and do something about veteran homelessness as well as veteran suicide. I think that's really all I have. I'll be walking around. If you have any questions, want to get a business card, meet a couple weeks from now, discuss further, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and talk to you about it, because really this is going to take the community. It's going to take county, it's going to take VA, it's going to take city, who, by the way, we're working with the Mayor's Challenge and suicide. Exciting thing for me as a vet going through my own struggle is to see government starting to come together at the level it is. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming. And you guys have a heck of a veteran advocate in Kyle Ollerman here for the city of Hawthorne. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be doing the computer switcheroo again for a couple of seconds, and then our next speaker will be Tess Banco, and she is the Executive Director of the UCLA VA Veteran Family Wellness Center. So while we're setting up for her computer presentation, I wanted to point out a couple of additional things. We have some ladies in the back who are part of different organizations. One of them is called Handmade, especially for you. Raise your hands, Handmade ladies. And they have a phenomenal project where they put together kits that are then made into comfort scarves that go to women who are in shelters as a result of domestic violence. They also make a lot of the scarves that we take to the women's clinic at the VA, at the West LA VA hospital. And usually what ends up happening is that when people volunteer to do craft work for veterans, they never meet the veterans that their handiwork is going to go to. And many of you who receive their gifts never meet the people who actually make them. So that's a few of them in the back. We have some people from Yarn Angels, which is another organization. So stop in the back and see their handiwork. And the other thing I was going to point out particularly, we have Dolores Brinkley from Integrity Products in the back, and she has a lot of t-shirts and hats and cups and memorabilia for whatever purposes that you might want. She is the mother and daughter of veterans and has done an amazing job in advocating for our community. Also down at the far end over here, we've never presented anything like this before, but we have a woman who is presenting virtual reality stuff in the back corner. So it's pretty nifty, and if you want to stop in and take a chance and see what virtual reality is all about, here's your opportunity. Okay, I think we're ready. May I introduce Tess Banco? I should also mention that Tess is a dear friend of mine, and she's a Marine.
Hoorah. Thanks, Kyle. It's my second year here at this event. I really enjoyed the time here last year. I see that it's expanded, which is fantastic. We have some really great community members here with us and lots of great services and organizations, but I am the executive director of the UCLA. Being tall is kind of challenging sometimes. I have to keep lifting this up. The UCLA VA Veteran Family Wellness Center. It's the first center of its kind in the nation that serves family members and children alongside their veterans. So it's a partnership between UCLA and the VA, which has been a whole lot of fun because, as I said, it's never been done before. So there's been a lot of collaboration and coordination between the West Los Angeles VA campus and the center that we reside in, which is also on the West Los Angeles VA campus in Building 220. And we're housed, within the Integrative Health Center, which I like to call the best kept secret of West LA, because there, if you have VA benefits, you can get integrative health services like Reiki massage, and you can get Reiki, and there's acupuncture, and there's a drum circle that happens, and they do aromatherapy and biofeedback, and all of these different modalities that typically, are outside of the mainstream. So it's a really great building and a really great service. You can click past to the next slide. So this is about our services. We provide resilience-based wellness services. So that is in contrast to psychodynamic therapy, which is the typical therapy modalities that you would see, including medication. So we actually try to build upon and utilize the resilience that each of us has within ourselves already. And I know it's definitely had an impact on my life. There were times when I didn't know how I was going to get through something, and it's just this invisible kind of wellspring of resilience that kind of pushed me through. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention also my peers, my friends. And there are lots of things, I think, that help people through tough times, their faith, the community, the fabric of community that we're building here and participating in. But anyhow, so services, individual, couples, and family consultations. So we don't just want people to come into the program and say, okay, here you go, 4 to 6 sessions of this model that might not actually fit you. So when people come in, we find out what they're looking for, what resources they're looking for, if they would actually benefit more from psychodynamic therapy, so referring out there. Just really having a personified, personalized service is really important, especially to me being a veteran and a military family member for so many years. So we also provide these services through tele-wellness. We could provide services throughout the entire state of California, which is really cool. because I know there's a lot of need in areas that don't have services like Los Angeles does. I'm sure you've heard before from some of the speakers that this is the largest population of veterans in the nation. So it's really important that we're able to provide services that are accommodating to some of the challenges we have here, like the traffic, moving 5 miles in 35 minutes. So we also do skill building and parenting groups, workshops and family events. We provide, again, the resources and referrals. We have partners, great partners like U.S. Vets. I've heard a lot today. They have a women veterans program that we can refer to as specialized services. We work with the County Department of Mental Health. We work with all of the different departments in the VA system. And basically we'll just find anything that somebody needs, whether that be financial, whether that be some other type of benefits resource. We have made connections in the community, and we try to be really responsive with those needs. So services are offered regardless of military discharge status. They're free and they're confidential. So our records are kept separately from the VA's record system. And I know that's been a concern, for some veterans who might not want the two records intermixed, and they might want I won't say a second opinion, but an outside voice of support. So that's been one of the features that's been really appreciated by people who are coming in. So I think we can go to the next slide. I don't want to talk too much about the core service model, but I will tell you a little bit. This center, as I mentioned, is the first time that these services have been offered to veterans and their families. They're built on something called FOCUS, so it's Families Overcoming Under Stress. Now, FOCUS is already in use at over 30 active duty military bases nationally and internationally. So what it is skills, and we call them resilient skills, coupled with different not modes, but models of how to deliver them. So there's one for individuals, there's one for couples, there's one for early childhood. If you have a really young child, you can bring them in and they can get these services. Please go ahead to the next slide. So here's some more about the core elements. Overarchingly, we have the assessment tool, which I mentioned is the actual consultation. We use psychoeducation and developmental guidance. It's not enough to know that you're going through an issue, in my opinion. I think it's really important to understand where you are in your lifespan and what else might be affecting the things that are affecting you or your family members. Say if you have a teenager and you don't really understand why they're behaving a certain way, and it might be a problem in the relationship, but it also could be a developmental milestone that they're hitting. I don't know if you guys saw earlier, there's a little girl wandering around here in the hall. That's my daughter. She's 5 years old, so I definitely check in on the psychoeducation myself when, why is she throwing tantrums or, smashing things into the carpet. So it's been really useful for me personally. Again, the narrative timeline that we use. So I don't know how many of you have ever seen the movie Crash. And this is a while back when this came out, but it took one incident from many different viewpoints. And really, if you look at your life and the things that you go through and the issues that happen in relationships sometimes, there are different viewpoints. And so what we do is we try to explore those different viewpoints together in a safe space. So we use what we call a narrative timeline. We can take a section of time and just kind of go through and build an understanding about what's actually going on and how people are feeling and address those feelings. And then we have the resilience skills, which are the emotional regulation, communication, problem solving. So once I know there's a problem, how do I address it? Goal setting, which is very important, part of problem solving. Managing the stress reminders, so trauma and loss. I personally have gone through a lot of different things in life, and sometimes I have the need to manage the trauma from that and just keep going. So those skills are really important. And then also family cohesion, and I won't just say family cohesion, but I'll say relationship cohesion. So that's the relationship that we have with ourselves, that's the relationship that we have with other people, and even the relationship that we have with our community. Do we feel like we really belong and are engaged in our community? Go ahead to the next slide. One of the really cool parts about being part of a brand new center and doing something that has never been done before is doing even more things that have never been done before. So we created a brand new transition model. I'm sorry, my slide's a little bit of a nightmare. but we used the focus skills, and then we coupled those with the sessioned training, and then also coupled that with peer support and peer navigation. So using emotional regulation, goal setting, communication, the transition skills, the problem solving, and looking at the different domains of your life. So whether that be education, healthcare, benefits, wellness, behavioral health, those types of things, and really finding out where are you? Well, actually, it's more like, who am I? Where am I? And where do I want to go from here? And what's the plan? And how do I get there? So we created a new transition program that we're going to be piloting that I just wanted to mention because we're very excited about it. So, go ahead. Again, we're in Building 220. That's the home of the VFWC, and contained within there, we've got the Wellness Center, we've got the Office of Healthcare Transformation and Innovation, because unbeknownst to a lot of people, there's some pretty innovative things that go on in the VA, besides everything we hear about the bureaucracy and the challenges. So they actually do have councils, and they're looking at different ways to do innovative things. And one factoid I always like to throw out is that most people don't realize that the nicotine patch was created on the West Los Angeles campus as a partnership between UCLA and the VA. So, the VA has been responsible for a lot of advances in technology and medicine. And then there's mindfulness. So all of these services are available. You can go ahead and click to the next one. We like the services to be convenient and accessible. So again, we have one central point of contact who's our family services coordinator. Her name is Melissa Lee. She's also a Marine Corps veteran. She's married to a Marine Corps veteran who's now an actor, which is very Hollywood in my opinion. But we also get referrals from providers. So we get that release of information just to make sure everyone's privacy is protected. And we do the consultations with the resilience trainers. We elevate to what we call higher levels of care if more is needed, or if we can't find anything that you need at the center, we use our partnerships. So go ahead, you can click to the next one. So here's the slide about contacting us. There's also a table in the back if you want to sign up. You can find us online at VFWC. I believe it's UCLA VFWC.edu. But again, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for coming out today, and thank you to everybody who made this event possible, the Hawthorne Veterans Affairs Committee, and everybody who came out. So thanks so much.
Don't we have some rockin' women vets? Can I have all the women vets in the room raise your hand? Let me see all the women vets. Get your hands up. Okay, I have another housekeeping announcement. We have a blue Tesla, license plate number 8EKD124. Again, it's kind of a cobalt blue Tesla. California license plate 8EKD124. You're apparently parked out in front and blocking something, so anybody who owns that Tesla, please go on out and relocate it. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is going to be my friend Christine Stanley. And Christine is involved in all kinds of issues, and so she will be filling you in on U.S. vets and also on some of the women veterans initiatives.
She just said I could take my time, so we have about 2 hours. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Good afternoon, good morning. Good morning still. My name's Christine. I'm an Air Force retiree. I actually love serving the 24 years that I did in the Air Force, and I'm super excited to be supporting the veterans in the community after my service. Like Kyle mentioned, I do work for U.S. Vets. My office is located in Patriotic Hall, and if you haven't ever been there, I would suggest that you take the trip. It's a historical building that was built by veterans for veterans, and all the agency in the building are specifically geared to support vets and their families. U.S. Vets in our office, we have our career development section. So we help veterans with degrees get good careers and amazing placements in the community. We have Outside the Wire, which provides mental health counseling to veterans and their families on the community college campuses here in LA County as well as down in Orange County. And we also have our housing support. So we have the SSVF program, which is supportive services for veterans and families. And we also can help you link to our transitional sites at Long Beach and Inglewood. And of course, we have my program. So we have Women Vets on Point. So we have a virtual platform that connects women veterans to mental health and resources. So it doesn't matter how she served, when she served, discharge status, or any of those conditions. She's welcome to come in and bring her family, and we'll help her with resources, whether that's employment, childcare, emergency financial assistance. We have a bunch of lovely partners throughout the community that are willing to support the women. And then we also offer no-cost mental health and patriotic call 5 days a week. So on my table, we have these really snazzy little calendars if you'd like to take one. It has our website and our phone number, how to reach out to us. My table is right behind the camera. And we have a chat feature on our website. So if you have a woman veteran that you're working with and she has a question, you can just log on to the chat Monday through Friday, about 8 to 5, and you can get a real-time answer. So it's one of the very few places that you can get a real-time answer about any questions concerning anything to do with women vets. It's anonymous, so you don't need a name or any of that to ask the question. If the conversation starts to get a little confusing over the computer, we'll ask you if we could call you or if you could call us to continue the conversation. But at that point, we still don't need to know who you are. We're just happy to provide that service to you. What else do we have? Oh, we have First Fridays. So the first Friday of every month in Patriotic Hall from 5 to 7, we have an open session for women veterans to come in and just have a conversation about what's going on and connect with each other in the community. We offer some time to the community partners, so if you'd like to get to know the ladies that served in your community, you can come in. We give you about 5 minutes to present your program and leave your flyers, and if you're a gentleman, you're invited to leave at that point. The ladies can stay. We have food, and we have activities for the kids, so if you have to bring your child, you can, they're more than welcome. And we also have, you are able to park actually at Patriotic Hall in the back. So parking's not an issue, and we have food and stuff for your kids, so we should be good to go with that. What else do we do? We're just about to close our pilot phase here this next week. And we've had some huge successes. We've had numerous women come in and get support for mental health. And we've had actually some ladies come in for more than 15 sessions, so it's been really successful. And they've actually accepted the resources that we're providing and embraced the fact that we're meeting them where they are and providing the other additional support that they need to help them become either housed in better housing or better employment. So we have all those opportunities going on. So again, my table is just right back there. I have our flyers. I also have some pamphlets that explain what we do in Patriotic Hall. So you're always welcome to come in to get support. We partner with all the other agencies in the building. So if you need help with your claims, we help you get to that part of the building. And then we work closely with, I believe, our next speaker that's coming. So they have the county funding for training for veterans. So we can help you get some training and then still connect you to employment. And then if you know any lady vets, if you wouldn't mind connecting them to our website is womenvetsonpoint.org. And we're open all week at Patriotic Hall, and they're welcome to walk in. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, we have one other additional speaker we are going to add. I would like to introduce a veteran of the Air Force for 8 years of service. Her name is Diana Offen, and she is with the LA County Veterans America Jobs Center. She also has a booth right over here, so you can talk to her after she finishes her presentation.
Is there a time limit?
No, go for it.
All right. Good morning. My name is Diana Offen, and I have 5 siblings who also served in the armed forces. So I know about the Marine, my brother, my 2 sisters, Army, another brother in the Air Force, and a brother in the Marines. The only one, and I keep telling people that, is we don't have anybody in the Coast Guard because Asians don't swim. But I just found out that there is a Asian person, he was Coast Guard, and so I'll have to change my mind. But anyway, I'm really glad I have this opportunity to talk to you. I work for the Veterans AJCC, which stands for America's Job Center of California. And we're located at the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, which is at 1816 South Figueroa, or it's on Figueroa and Washington. What do? We provide employment and career services for veterans and also eligible spouses. But there are 17 AJCCs in the County of Los Angeles who will service adults as well as spouses within the county and children. But we are strictly for veterans and eligible spouses. So what does the America's Job Center of California does? We provide employment services. You can walk into any of the offices throughout the county. You can have access to their computers, their fax machine, their phone lines. Same thing with us. And then we also provide workshops for those of you who are looking for jobs. And then we also provide services for employers who are seeking employees. We help the veterans also with vocational training. We get funding from the county as well as from the state. And there are 2 different requirements. For the county, you have to be a veteran and have only served in uniform for 1 day. In order to get the funding from the state, you have to be a veteran of 180 days in uniform. We also have a program for privately funded, and there's scholarship as well as grants. Now the grants are specifically for women. So for those of women who want to have their own business, and for example, they may need business cards or they need to attend a workshop that would help them to launch their business, there's a possibility they could apply for a grant with us. We provided a grant to a young woman who had anxiety because she was raised through the foster system and lived in 17 different homes. And although she was served in the armed forces, when she went to school, she had a lot of anxiety. So we gave her a grant, she got a dog, and all the services that are associated with the dog training, the veterinary services, they were all paid through the grant. We also gave a woman who wanted to be a realtor, she got her license, but she didn't have the money to get for her marketing. She needed, those big signs with her name on it, so we gave her the money to do that. I have another woman vet who wanted to have a license to become a sales in health and in insurance, so we gave her the training to pay for also her license, her testing, her background check. So there's a lot of different possibilities. If you're a female vet and you need a little push, because you're missing some funds, come see me. Or if you're a male veteran who like to have assistance in employment services, I'd be more than happy to help them. For example, we have currently 11 male veterans and a female veterans. They're going to IT training, so we gave them CompTIA A+, and the certification. So the schooling is about 10 weeks long, and they get the vouchers to get their certification testing. Also have individuals that wanted to go into non-destructive testing. Actually, I have a really good story for a veteran who is Second Chances, and he wanted to be a truck driver, so we gave him the training. He got his Class A license, he got his endorsement for tanker, and yes, he started at $12 an hour. Within 6 months, he got a raise and is making $16 an hour, but he wants to look at different possibilities and want to be a tanker cement truck driver because they pay more. excuse me. So he's going to do that, even though he has a barrier because he's on probation, but he's so excited because he changed his life and we were able to help him. So I do have a booth over on that side, and please see me. We have orientations every Tuesdays at Bob Hope Patriotic Hall. If you also need services, the LA County Military Affairs is on the 2nd floor, Cal Jobs is on the 2nd floor, and then we have mental health on the 6th floor. Thank you very much.
We are adding another guest here. We have the mayor of Hawthorne, Mayor Alex Vargas. He's been out circulating within the other events that are going on the property today. Wanted to give him an opportunity to welcome you. Mayor Alex Vargas.
How you guys doing? Thanks to all the exhibitors for being here, all the participants who are taking advantage of all the resources that you guys have here. The Veterans Commission, of course. Our Veterans Commission here in the city of Hawthorne is one that is looked up to by all the neighboring cities and in the region and possibly in the state. That I've seen, that I've looked at, that over my years of experience, I haven't really seen a Veterans Commission either in place or to the level of involvement as ours. So I want to give a big round of applause to our Veterans Commission. So of course we got all these other events that are going on in the city, and I think it's great. What's been cool about this is that we have a lot of people outside that are here for these other events that are coming inside and being able to look at stuff. Some things that they might have not have heard of it, or may not have a veteran in their family, or may not be veterans themselves. They're coming in here and coming out with a new mindset and knowing that there's having some awareness of what the situation is and all the different issues. So I think it's a great thing. And I would, personally, I'm telling you guys right now, I think it's good that you guys have it at this time, on the same day, with the bunny breakfast and with the service provider fair. So you guys can all feed off of each other. So you guys have my 100% support. You have the city council support and the city of Hawthorne support. So thank you guys for organizing and participating and being here. Thank you once more.
One of the things that I really love about veterans and people that are in the military community, if you're a civilian like I am and you get asked to speak somewhere and you get on the schedule, you can pretty much guarantee that everybody is going to go way over their time and the event is going to run 5 hours longer than it was supposed to. I speak to the veterans of the community. They come in, they get the job done, and we're getting out of here way early. So I am going to bring up our last speaker. This is Gail Sofer. She is the head of the Mindful Warrior Project. The other thing that I will tell you is that she has a wellness area right across the hall, in the rooms right across the hall. So if you want to get in and get a massage or some of the other treatment modalities, that's where to go. The other thing that I will tell you is that after Gail finishes speaking, if you have not received your wristband yet, please go to the back table and get your wristband that will get you in for your In-N-Out burgers. Hopefully they will be here soon. So, Gail Sofer, Mindful Warrior Project.
Thank you for making it through all of the presentations and for giving me the last bits of your attention. I want to talk about the Mindful Warrior Project because most people don't know exactly what we do. They're familiar with the banner. People usually say, oh yeah, I've heard of you guys. I recognize the banner, but I don't really know what you do. And we do a lot for veterans. We're also serving active duty Guard and Reserve members, their family members, including the children. We work with the caregivers and the service providers, and our work is free. So the core of our work is teaching simple secular mindfulness practices, which is usually not what people think of when they hear mindfulness. People think of meditation or yoga, something new age spiritual, something that's not in line with their religious beliefs or spiritual practices. Ours has nothing to do with that. Also, people think of it in terms of therapy. People have heard of MBSR. We're not doing mindfulness-based anything. We're not doing stress relief. Basically, what we're helping people learn is some very simple tools to use in daily life. These are things you use to just keep your wits about you, which we need in our daily lives. There are a lot of things that are coming at us to be able to handle them with some dignity and make some wise choices is really a good thing to be able to do. So we have our ongoing workshops, and people just come in and we learn a little bit about what mindfulness is and isn't, walk through a practice. People are surprised, like, hey, I can do that. They tried to teach me to meditate at the VA, and I can't sit still. I can't clear my head of thoughts, and I can't make myself calm. And it's really great because that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to change or fix anything. We're just paying attention and learning how to pay attention in other ways so that we're present in the moment. In military terms, situational awareness. We're gathering intel. We're being able to get enough information about what's happening with us and another person, with us and in our environment, to make a wise choice and not always be face-palming and going, what a jerk, look what I just did again. So we can assess a situation, decide what's the best course of action to take, and proceed with a lot more dignity and pride in our lives, not always default to knee-jerk reactions. So we're exploring possibilities. What's happening between me and my environment, between me and another person, between me and the thoughts I'm having, to be able to know this is me and this is a thought going through my head. This is me and this is an emotion coming up. This is me and this is a physical sensation. But bottom line, this is me. And I can make some wise choices and live a pretty rich, beautiful life. So we're exploring other possibilities besides just the core mindfulness practices. Today we have a wellness area across the hall. It's in room 115. We're exploring wellness. So in addition to whatever you're doing through the VA, whatever meds you're taking, whatever therapist you're seeing, we'll give you some samples of some other possibilities that you can also use. Acupuncture, massage, energy work. We have a therapy dog. Jane the Dane is with us today. Sound healing, aromatherapy, a lot of possibilities that also you can add into whatever you're doing. Is with your new tools of mindfulness, you're able to take charge and put together your own wellness plan. We also explore possibilities around us. So we go to the LA Opera, and a lot of people will just go, opera, no thank you. For a free sample, it's not a bad thing to try on a weekend with us. See if you like it. If you don't, you put it on your bucket list and you crossed it off. We go to the Dodger games, which a lot more people immediately jump at. We go to Sparks basketball games. We go to the Pageant of the Masters in Laguna. So we're out and about exploring what else is there for me, what else resonates with me, what else is part of my wellness plan, with me being the person in charge, because I'm taking my power back. I'm able to assess a situation and move forward. So we'd love to have you come join us. The services are free. Just last Sunday, we had our 6th annual April Month of the Military Child event, where we honor military children 0 to 12 of those who are serving or have served. They have a whole day of fun, arts and crafts, activities. We have a dog show, so they learn the difference between a service dog, a therapy dog, and a plain old pet. And it opens up that possibility for them. And at the end of the event, every child is called up on stage to receive a certificate that Mayor Garcetti has prepared, thanking them for how they also serve the country, because their parents are serving or have served. So our work is pretty comprehensive, and it's all about finding possibilities, exploring them, being open and curious, and it's a wonderful thing to check out because there are no negative consequences. We don't report to anyone. Nothing shows up on any record. It's free. If you don't like it, we'll give you your $0 back. And we just invite you to join us and get a very practical thank you for your service and explore ways of moving forward with the same strength and dignity you had when you served in the military. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy whatever is left in the rest of the day besides lunch.
Okay, less talk, more eat. So here's the deal. The In-N-Out truck is going to be pulling up and back in a few minutes. They need a little bit of time to set up, and as I mentioned, we're ahead of schedule. So I would ask at this point that you take this few minutes while we're getting organized with the food, talk to the different people in here. Again, if you need to talk to a service officer, they're in the rooms across the hall. Please go in and see Mindful Warrior Project and get your massage and whatever the other treatment modalities that they have in there. Be sure that you have your orange wristband. No wristband, no in and out, okay? So go back over there. And also, if any of you wish to sign the petition in opposition to the name change of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, it's on our back table. So please be sure that you sign the petition, circulate, talk to your other veterans, talk to the vendors, get your neck massage, and I'll be in as soon as we're ready to start the food line for In and Out. Thanks very much for coming, and thanks for everybody who presented.